Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for our weekly Tech Talk Tuesday with GB3 from Star Racing Power. I see I got a couple folks. Paul Miller. Hey, Paul. Thanks for keeping up, man. Sam, look forward to seeing you guys this weekend. It's going to be a good weekend here in Georgia. Matt, Sam, Paul, y'all, good. Thanks. Michael, Ray Gun, Razor in the house. Freddie, man, some old friends. Got some stuff to talk about. It's going to be good. Hey, David, George, Lonnie, Chris. Chris got him a good story about his new pro stock endeavor. Chris Bostic did on Eat My Ink. I had never wanted to eat any ink, but I think that's something that Armenian Swazili or whatever his name is tries to do. Jack, how y'all guys going, man? Good. I got stuff to tell you about. I'll let you look at this while we're introducing. Seen it before. Cylinder pressure graph with versus timing. Hey, Eric and Jack, Christopher. Good to see you guys, man. Enos. Thankful to see these names on here. These friends of mine, clients, old friends, new friends. Hey, Mike. Check in with Front Row, Jethro. Way to go, Stereo. Chris. Man, that's an old name right there. I ain't saying you old, because I'm old too. Anyway, y'all say hi. Here we are. Tech Talk Tuesday. Looks like it's after 6 now, so I'm going to go ahead and get into it. A couple things I wanted to cover today is camshafts. Oh boy. When we were running the pro stock classes, we were running all kinds of different camshafts, trying to find the right timing. And, a bunch of our folks and friends out there that look at cams and talk about cams, they talk about lift. I need a 650 cam, I need a 620 cam, or 585, or a 550, or whatever the internet hero is. Reggie, Lee, Lonnie, y'all, go ahead. See y'all, David. So Donald, on the road picking up a FL frame. What you gonna do with it? All right, I'm gonna quit reading the notes for a minute. I just want to tell you about camshafts. It's not the lift. I mean, we want the lift. We want all the lift we can get. We want lift is just free. I mean, the window, the valves and the cams. I got to tell you, I'm gonna try and break it down to something really simple. It's the window to the engine. When you want to get some air in the house, you open your window. If you want all the air you can get into your house, you open the window as far as it'll go. And also you can open it now and close it later. You can get enough in for a minute and close it. That's what we do with the valve. The window is the valve. The camshaft is how far the window opens and how long it stays open. Window in the house. Dumb idea, but here it comes. We can open this window all the way from here to here. Then it's all the way open. If it's open full lift and back to shut, full lift, back to shut, full lift, back to shut, while the piston's going up and down, right? Okay. Just wanted to try and break that down for you so you can understand, because there is not one size fits all. When we were racing the pro stockers back in the day, we were running the first thing we did was we ran a 4-valve Suzuki GS, 1980, 80, they quit making them, I think, in 85, the GS 1150. But in pro stock, we took that head and modified it and ran pro stock with it. We tripled the horse, no, we didn't. We doubled the horsepower pretty easy, maybe more than double. I think we got to 2.5 horsepower per cubic inch back in the day with that old GS head. And what was cool is at first, all we could do was put more camshaft in it. Just like the Chevrolets, when we started racing small block Chevys, big block Chevys, the heads were our limit. So we would just put a ton of camshaft in it. I don't know if you guys are old enough or remember the super stock cars at the drag strip. They would always sound like the most radical engines because the NHRA rules and IHRA rules made those guys run stock heads. And when I say stock heads, they were the cast heads that came on the engine, the 350 Chevrolets and the Mopars and the Fords and the Chryslers and all those big blocks. They were stock heads. So the only way we could get enough air in the engine to make a racing engine out of it was to put a really big cam. And the heads were not designed to put a lot of lift in them because the valves were really short. Stock valves were really short. And if you wanted to lift it a lot, the head would only be this big and the spring pocket would be here. And you had to run stock valves. So that's the biggest spring you could put in there, is this far. So once you would go to full lift, the spring would stack up like this. It would look like just stacked up. Well, once that's stacked up, that's the most lift you could run. So then as history grows, you can see that we went into stud girdles. We went into to try to control these. So also we went into spacers for the valve covers. And then one day, all of a sudden, the valve covers, small block Chevy valve cover used to look kind of like this. And then all of a sudden now they look like this. And that was so we could get longer valves and taller springs so we could put some more lift in it. And put rock arms, more powerful and stronger rock arms into it. That's the old days. So we're living through all that with the Harleys now. And this is something that's just uncovering itself. The hot rod Harley business has been going on just as long as the hot rod car business. It really has. Somebody asked the other day, I saw on the internet, said, when was the first motorcycle race? And they said it was when the second motorcycle was built. That's when they had the first race. And we've been racing motorcycles and cars ever since they had wheels and engines. So, hey, you guys that think you came in late, you didn't miss anything. Hey, John, also look, I'm going to record this live show, and then Monica will put it on the internet. She will put it on, I think it's YouTube. And this is number 46, y'all. Think about that. This is 46 weeks in a row that we've had Tech Talk Tuesday. That's crazy. So back to the camshaft story. We ran the 4 valves for a while, and we learned a lot about how little of a camshaft we needed. When I say little, I'm talking about all the lift we could get, but we didn't want it open long because you lose a lot of work when you have the valve open too long, because when the piston goes down on the intake stroke and then it comes back up on the compression stroke, then it goes down on the power stroke, and then it goes back up on the exhaust stroke, there is only one small section in there where you can actually squeeze it, light it, and bang, put power to the crank. So it's a very small part. That up and down, look y'all, the intake stroke, the compression stroke, the power stroke, and then the exhaust stroke. This is very elementary. This takes 180, 180, 180, and 180. You add all those up, you get 720 degrees. But the power is only made in a very small spot. So you want to try and take advantage of that while you can. You want to be able to open the valve exactly at the right time and have it open as far as it needs to go, as it can, exactly at the right time. And then you want to close it exactly at the right time. And that's going to make all the difference in the world. Given the cylinder head you have that day. When I say that day, I'm talking about cylinder heads are in rapid development right now. If you look back at the car stuff I was talking about, the small block Chevys, for instance, they had little baby valves, little baby ports, and you can, man, I'm getting messages from stuff I was working on today. It's very distracting. But hey, look, I'm thankful to hear back from these guys. Hey, Ed, Patrick, Ian, I appreciate it. Dave, you guys. I'll start over as soon as you watch this recording after it's recorded live. That's funny right there. Jack. Back to the deal is, if your cylinder, as our cylinder heads got better and better, the need for more and more camshaft became less. And the more flow we made, the more camshaft we said, wow, we can make more power if we get this timing right. So the lift will always be the lift. The lift will be the most lift we can run. Hey, Yaska. English for you, man. Hey, I've been reading some of your stuff about why you guys have a little bit, you know what, it's all political over there too. Wow, how about that? How about me and you agree not to go political right now, and let's work on camshafts. Jasko's really good at that stuff too. He's a really smart dude. He lives in Finland, and he tries to speak English, and we call it Finglish, and I live in America, and I try to talk English, and I have a hard time because I'm just Southern. And Southern people have a hard enough time with the English language, never mind trying to speak Finnish. Yeah, Scott, start over. But anyway, back to, hey, Ken, Scott, back to the deal. As we get better flowing cylinder heads, the cam timing becomes less of a need to open it so soon and close it so late, and open the exhaust valve so early and close it so late. And back in the day when head flow was our limitation, we had so much overlap. We had this deal where the exhaust cam and the intake cam would both be open at the same time in this area, and we had so much overlap that we would bleed. A lot of the pressure of the 720 degrees would bleed out, go back up the intake, go out the exhaust at the wrong time. Some intake would go out the exhaust, and it was just not very efficient. So as our cylinder heads get better and better, look at a pro stock car head now, like an old small block Chevy head was this big, and a pro stock car head now, like on the 500-inch NHRA stuff, their heads are about this tall. And I know that looks exaggerated, but these ports were here, and now the ports look like this, and the valves were this tall, and now the valves are this tall. All of that is to get more air in the engine. And as we learn and as we grow, we found out that still didn't get enough camshaft lift. We need more lift. We need bigger valves. We need bigger flow. We need bigger ports. But we need to control the cam timing so we don't leak and bleed out the pressures that we need to contain. 4-valve. Go back to the 4-valve deal. Think about it. You're getting way more air in. I think that on a really good Harley head, you know what's sad about this? There's nothing for you to look at. Let's flip this over a minute until I get ready to show you the board. Let me see. Okay. I don't know if that's, I'm probably not any better to look at, but at least we're looking and talking to somebody. I don't know if you can see me, but I don't see you. Back to the story. So as we got the heads flowing so much, like with a 4-valve, if you check a good Harley-Davidson 2-valve head, like a twin cam, and at 100 lift, where the valve is just 100 off the seat, let's just say you get 50 CFM, okay, at some pressure. If you took the exact same bore size and put a 4-valve head, like a Milwaukee 8 head on that engine, you could flow 100 CFM in the same place that the 2-valve head only flowed 50. So that's double the airflow. Not at full lift, not at all the numbers, but at some low lift points, you can get double the airflow with a 4-valve over a 2-valve. And this goes back to a week or 2 weeks ago when I did the curtain area story. You can look back on YouTube and see that. Man, somebody watching me is sending me messages. You guys that are sending me messages right now, I'm live on having my tech talk, so I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to respond right now. You're just going to be distracting. Hey, Dan, JJ, Carlton. It was nice to see you guys on here. But anyway, try not to get distracted again. But the cam timing, remember, the lift is all the lift that we can get, okay? I might have to tell this guy to quit. He is just sending it like a machine gun. One line, one question, one line, one question, over and over and over. And it's just trying to be, I'm going to pay attention to what I'm telling you guys now. So one cam, I'm going to say it's just a one fell swoop comment that lift, I run the most lift I can, okay? Not trying to overdo the valve springs, not trying to overdo the push rods or the lifters, but a big valve and a lot of lift will ask for a lot smaller camshaft. Now, I'm not talking about lift, I'm talking about duration, timing. So when George Bryce or our guys, we say a big cam, little cam, medium size cam, you'd think we're talking lift, 200, 400, 600 lift. No, I'm talking about duration. And back in the day, I told you that the 4 events of the cam timing is what matters. Don't know about lobe centers, don't know much about overlap, but I can tell you when they open and when they close. And the intake opening, nope, sorry, red lighted. Intake closing is my #1 most important event. None of them are useless, all of them are very important, but my most important one for me for good engine development is my intake valve closing. The second one is my exhaust valve opening. And then tied for last place is when the intake opens and when the exhaust closes. When the intake opens, if you open it really early, you'll be at a better lift point in the intake stroke when the piston's going down on the intake. So you'll be further along in the lift curve at peak piston speed, which is a little bit too technical talk for some. But when the piston's going down on the intake stroke, you want the valve to chase it as fast as it can. When the piston stops at the bottom and it fills up with air, as soon as that pressure equals what's outside, you want to shut that intake valve. And that's why that's my most important event, is the intake closing. Okay, then the next most important one is the exhaust opening, because the exhaust valve is so little on 4 valves and so little on the 2 valves that we have a lot of stuff in there to get out, and there's not very much time to do it. So we have to start early, and we're learning every day how soon we can start it, because general belief in our industry is you want the piston to go down as far as you can on the power stroke, and turn the crank as far as you can before you open the exhaust valve, because when you open the exhaust valve, it happens about halfway down the power stroke. And I know that sounds crazy, y'all, but think about it. The exhaust valve opens halfway down the power stroke. That seems like it would just bleed off power. But if you don't start it that soon, you won't get it out before it's time for the intake stroke again. So we got to get it out. So we start it soon. We're learning the diminishing return on trying to keep it closed as long as we can on the power stroke, and then open it at the last second. We actually need to start it sooner than that. So exhaust opening is my second most important event. I have to think what I'm saying. I see a great picture of it, but I'm having a hard time explaining it to you. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Kenny, Flacco, David, Jeff. I'm going to move to my board now, because I'm going to expand on this a little bit. One size cam fits all. It's not true. Every engine needs a different cam. And if you don't have a different cam every time, hey Bob, Jeff, how do I get their shirts printed backwards? I promised I wouldn't read any more of those. Okay, here's how it works. When you do a video on your phone, you can lay your phone sideways, and you can make when your video shows, it will show everything turned around the correct way. When you go Facebook Live, you have to turn the phone up on its edge. You have to make the screen narrow and tall, and it will be backwards unless, I look at this right now. Now, Bob and all you other smarty pants out there, hey Mary Alice and Ronald, is mail order backwards? Or does it look okay to you? And size matters? One size fits all? Is this turned around the right way? I'm going to wait for an answer. Hey, John, Ronnie, Mary Alice. I see some cool names. Thankful for you guys watching. 20 seconds. It's okay? Afternoon. This is correct? 20-second delay. Here we go. Perfect! Ha! That's the answer I was looking for. Thank you. Okay, back to the story. If you have one cam you're stuck with, you're going to have to change something else to move the power band where you want it. If you're stuck with a 640 cam or a 550 cam, and you want the power range to be in a different place, and you can't change cams, which I don't know why, but I got a couple examples I'll tell you. If you can't change the cam and you need to move your power band to the right to have more power at higher RPM and less low end power, if you need to move it, make the valves bigger, make the ports bigger, and have that bad boy trap some sooner. Make more power, okay? Why wouldn't we want more power? Well, a cam that's really small duration makes more power to the left, and a cam that's really long in duration moves the power to the right. I want to talk real quick about mail order kits. I said size matters. Well, I see kits for sale on the internet, and there's some people selling 124s, 128s, 126s, 127s, 129s, 130s, 131s. Okay, we have Thrasher kits. We call them Thrasher 1, Thrasher 2. No, Thrasher 1, we obsoleted it. It was too easy to do, couldn't even sell it. Thrasher 2 is our first series. We make 145, 150 horsepower. with a Milwaukee 8 with the Thrasher 2. We make a little more power with the Thrasher 3, and we make more power yet with the Thrasher 4. There's a lot of differences, and I am going to ask you to be proactive and look up starracing.com, STAR racing.com. It looks like it is two R's, but it's starracing.com. If you look it up, it has all the Thrasher kits listed and what's different about them. And I don't have time to do that today because I'm already going to make a little bit of a commercial out of this. Oh, you're so silly. Size matters. Not in the way you're thinking. If it's an engine that's where the sleeves don't hit each other when the sleeves are put in the cases, you can sell that mail order. If the pistons don't hit each other, you can sell that mail order. If the pistons will clip when the pistons go up and down and they get close to the bottom and they start clanking, then it's a bit of a problem because there's custom notching of the sleeves, custom notching of the cylinders, and I'm going to tell you why it's custom. One size doesn't fit all for us because we want the sleeves to be notched the minimum, because I like for the pistons to have support all the way around. I hate cutting. Okay, look, these guys are going to put this together and nobody knows how to check anything, or nobody knows to check anything. No, if they knew, they would. But if you told somebody, if I'm sending you a mail order of 143 for your Milwaukee 8, and I tell you got to pre-assemble everything with the engine all apart to make sure nothing hits, you're going to be like, wow. So what we do is we make it simple. We only install those Thrasher 4 kits here. If you're trying to buy a 4.5 bore, 4.4 bore Milwaukee 8 from us, or a 4.4 or a 4.47 twin cam from us, the only way we could sell that to you mail order is to notch the pistons more than they need to be and notch the cylinders more than they need to be, because I don't know what crankshaft you're running. I don't know what rod lengths you're running. There's a lot of stuff out there now. So it has to be custom. I hope you guys understand that. Back to the camshafts. Bagzilla. It's a real, in my world, it's pretty famous. We sold it to the guys out west, and I hope they'll come to Hogs Gone Wild this weekend and show us how fast it is in the heat of the summertime, because last time we saw it run, it was 65 degrees and a 20-mile-an-hour tailwind. That bike was really fast. Even had, I think, Iron Man went more mile an hour than I ever have on it because he drove it better and they had a tailwind to help him out. Hey, Wayne, Michael, Jeff, John. So I wrote a few numbers down beside this here. I want to tell you, we went through 4 camshafts to make that bike go that fast. We had a 700, a 720, 730, 740 lift. The thing is here is this is a spark plug gap difference in these lifts. But the intake closing, we tried 52, 54, 64, and then went back to 60. On the exhaust opening, we went 71 open before bottom dead center, 75. Then we went 76, and then we settled on 76. Now, I'm going to tell you what happened with this. The first camshaft, the dyno sheet looked like this. So I said, darn it, if it's going to be there, either we're going to put a shorter cam in it and shift it and move the power band over here, or we're going to put a longer camshaft in it and we're going to move the shift point over here. So after we did our next cam, it still went up. So we decided to do another cam and move the RPM up, and it still went up again. So when we sold it to Chuck and Larry and those guys, we never found the top. So I don't know how high that engine will rev. Let your conscience be your guide. You can rev it as high as you want to. But we were in a serious development stage for about 10 months on that 135 engine, and it was in Bagzilla. It had S&S B2 heads, big giant titanium valves. First thing we did the first day is we put the biggest pistons we could in it, which I mean bore, and we put a short enough stroke in it to make it a 135 cubic inch engine, and the big valves, we just tried to cam to that. So once we made it the biggest bore and the stroke to make it fit the rules, that's my plan here, is put the biggest bore fit and then stroke it to fit the rules, and then cam it to make the biggest valves and the biggest ports flow to get the power curve where you want it. If we were trying to get it to make, on the dyno sheet, if we were trying to get it to make peak power over here and fall off at the shift point, maybe we would shift earlier and we would close the valve a lot sooner to get the power over here. But that's not how we go fast. We go fast by revving it way over here. I'm talking about 7,000 or 8,000 RPM. Because the RPM is the king. And people ask me, what was the torque? I have no idea. The peak torque was so far to the left, I don't even know what it had. Now, wow, the clock went fast. What time is that? Jeff, Daniel? I'm going to do a quick commercial here about our Milwaukee 8 camshafts. Let me move this board over so I get that light out. There. Okay. We did probably 7 or 8 different camshafts for the Milwaukee 8 since Christmas between 16 and 17. And the first 2017's Milwaukee 8s came out, and we were like, wow, this is going to need a different cam than a twin cam. And we were right. And a lot of people we tried just about all the cams, the S&S cams, the Woods cams. We tried several different ones, and those all make great power. But look, they're not for everybody. The cam that fits that guy that's building those engines over there, he has a cam that works for him. And the guy that's building Milwaukee 8 engines over here, he has a cam that fits him. At Star Racing Power, after doing 6 or 7, hey Mandy, after doing 6 or 7 different cams designs, we came up with a small, medium, and large, just like a t-shirt. Our small is not small. It's a 485 lift. It's made for stock engines. I made me some quick notes. It's made for stock engines. It's the best bolt-in cam that we've tested. In other words, bolt-in. I mean, like you put a pipe, air cleaner, and our 3030 street and strip cam. I also wrote street a little bigger than strip. The letters, the font, it's just Southern boy style. But the street is a little bigger than strip because there's more emphasis towards the street. This is for high-performance touring, Sturgis and back, Daytona and back, and the most you can get out of a stock engine. And it makes the power that we want between 1,700 and 5,500 RPM, which is a really nice power curve for us. It's 107 through 117. Works nice. We also have our 3/4 cam. Now, when I was growing up, 60s and 70s, I heard of 3 camshafts. I heard of the famous Chevrolet 3030. I heard of the guys had 3/4 cams. That means it was 3/4 race, I think. And then we had full race cams. And the guys on the street that were wanting to make all the noise, they would have a full race cam or a 3/4 cam because it had that chop to it when it's idling. You know, like, I'm going to make sound noises here. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. It would make some cool sounds when we'd go around the drive-in or you'd idle through the school parking lot. Back then, that was cool. I mean, that was before we had cell phones and internet and TikTok or whatever that is, where you have to dance and, and do all the stuff you do when you do, and your sunglasses go off top of your head in place when you drop it. That's way over my head. Get it? But the 3/4 cam, it's got street written a little smaller than strip. So I'm calling it 3/4 race. It's 585 lift for the Milwaukee 8. The power band that we found on that works great between 2,300 and 6,500. It doesn't make quite as much to left of 2,300, before 2,300, because it has more cam timing and a little bit later intake valve closing. I see you laughing at me. The 3030 here, the street and strip cam, it traps air at a lower RPM so that it makes lots of torque. It makes the engine feel bigger. This one here, well, we can add 50 horsepower to, when we add our Thrasher 2 kit and our Thrasher 3 kit, those kits add about 50 horsepower to a stock Milwaukee 8, and this is part of it. I've got them coming. We've ordered a lot of each one of these from the cam grinder. They're all custom cams, and we've got them coming. And they're telling me 6 more weeks before I can ship them. So I'm just sending out a preview, like a trailer to a movie. All right, also, the last thing we have for the Milwaukee 8 is what we call our full race. And I drew the word street small compared to strip. So this is more favored towards the strip than street, but you can ride it if you get the right valve train components. You can ride it to work. You can ride it around town, but please don't look for it to give you any impressive low-end power below 3,500. This bad boy right here is more like Bagzilla. It kicks in like a big, like 2 4-barrel carburetors at 3,500 and pulls all the way to 7,000. Okay? Out of time, but I got to share something cool with you. I had a customer come today, and his dad came and brought his bike, and his name is Bronco Reese. I wrote a little thing down here at the bottom. I want you to go check this guy out. I think he's 14 years old now, and when he was 9 or 10, he had a heart transplant. He was born with a heart problem. I don't know the whole story, but I got to meet Bronco today. The kid's name is Bronco. I want to tell you something. That's a good-looking boy, well-spoken. And his dad came and brought him. He wanted to come in and see the shop. But look, our shop is closed. We're in full quarantine, so they had to stay outside. We had the little rope across the doorway there, and we rolled the bike in, and we stood at the door and talked. We did 6 foot apart. And I found out that Bronco, he has to take medicine to reduce his ability for his immune system to be powerful enough so that his body can learn to accept the foreign tissue of this new heart he got. And I'm not going to talk out of turn by telling you about it, but I was so impressed with him and his dad. And they have this great internet deal where Atlanta Journal-Constitution did a piece on him, did a little TV show, like 20 or 30 minutes. You can see it online. Go to broncosheart.org. It is really worth watching. It'll tug at your heartstrings, and it'll tell you some cool stuff. And please look at this, and please share this, and follow up on broncosheart.org. He plays football now, and he does public speaking. He tries to help other kids that are going through organ transplants and all the. I mean, this guy here, he's going to be an all-star, man, because he has already lived through the tough stuff. And every day after today looks like a piece of cake to him compared. Now, I'm not speaking for Bronco, but I was really proud to meet him, and I'm going to spend a minute talking about it. He has a little deal on his website that I have to quote today, and it's from the book of Proverbs. It says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything else flows from it." Proverbs 4:23. Love y'all. God bless y'all. Hope to see you at Hogs Gone Wild. Thank you for watching. I love you spending this much time with me, and I enjoyed seeing. Hey, look, if you guys tuned in late, this will still be up there. Just go to George's page and look at what I put up at live. And I'm going to record it, and I'm going to show it again another time, and Monica will put it on YouTube. Thank y'all. Come see us. Be safe.